How's everybody doing after dinner? Good. Oliver. Hey, sorry. Just got real excited to see Oliver. We want to thank everybody again for sticking it out with us. We really appreciate it. We know it's a long day. We hope you've had as much fun as we've had. And it's been really wonderful, and we're really grateful to have all you guys with us and for all the support. It means a lot to us, and we hope to see you again next year. I guess before we get started, we'll say a quick prayer. God, please set aside everything we think we know about steps 10 and 11, about our experiences with these steps, both past and current, about the people we're sitting next to, what we think we should hear and what we think we should be seeing, and most importantly, you, God, so that we may have an open mind and a whole new experience with all of these things, especially with you, God. Please allow us to see the truth. Amen. And with that, I've asked a friend to come up and read. Where's he at? He disappeared. All right. Ryan. We're going to ask Ryan to come up and read a little something.
Thanks, Dad. I'm Ryan. I'm an alcoholic. Steps 10 and 11 reading. It is easy to let up on the spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. We are headed for trouble if we do, for alcohol is a subtle foe. We are not cured of alcoholism. What we really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. Every day is a day when we must carry the vision of God's will into all of our activities. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. These are thoughts which must go with us constantly. We can exercise our willpower along this line all we wish. It is the proper use of the will. As we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful and ask for the right thought or action. We constantly remind ourselves we are no longer running the show, humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, thy will be done. We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decision. We become much more efficient. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. It works, it really does. Chapter 6, Into Action, pages 85, 87, and 88. Thanks for letting me read.
Thank you, Brian. All right, please help me welcome our speaker, Shannon B. from Summit, New Jersey.
Shannon, alcoholic. Shannon. Hi, Nicoletta. It's good to be here. I've come to a couple of these, and Nicoletta has spoken here, and some of my heroes spoke here today. Jimmy's a dear friend of mine. Terry did a great job. Chelsea. Who else is here? Julie. You guys all did an amazing. There you are. I can't see you. Sorry. I was fronting like I was young there for a second, so now I can see everybody again. I've had a wonderful time. I love coming here. I love getting invited to these things, whether it's me up here for a few minutes, doing my best to talk about the thing that really can't, it's hard to describe, especially these steps. Anytime I get asked to speak on 10 and 11, the very first thing I feel is what Julie and Chelsea spoke about, and it's inadequate. And it's not because of the people in the crowd. It's so hard to describe the undescribable, this thing that we call God. But I'm going to do my best. And I really appreciate it. I got to be honest with you. I've been to a lot of these over the years, and I think my favorite part of this, other than the one speaker that fell in love with a bottle of whiskey and pizza, that was it was you, right? Yeah. But think about this. I work in the corporate field. I'm an engineer. I work in the corporate environment. Think about going to work on Monday morning in a boardroom and sharing your story with people. And when Julie, you mentioned that something about you met a guy came to your home with a pizza and whiskey, and then he was marriage material, something along those lines. You had a baby with him, and the whole room laughed. That's not funny, by the way. Or Jackie, I'm sorry, Jackie. Jesus, I blew that whole thing right out of the... It's terrible. Jackie, I'm so sorry. But really, think about bringing that up in your boardroom on Monday morning at work. No one would laugh. But yet everybody laughs here. You know, and I love that. That's the laughter of identification. My brokenness connects with yours. You know, and I love that, and I get that. You know, some of my greatest amends stories are women that I met in the psych center in the Medline. You know, and it was definitely God's will because we were taking the same meds. You know, so. I prayed before I started dating her, so it was God's will, and all that fun stuff that we do here. So my sobriety date's February 14, 2012, so I just had a birthday not too long ago. I had 14 years of continuous sobriety, not a mind-altering or a mood-altering substance put in my body whatsoever, and for that I am truly grateful and I'm truly shocked. I've been in and out of our fellowship since the late 80s. And just like what a lot of the speakers shared today so eloquently, and will do a much better job than I will here today, they spoke of what really leads a lot of us back to a drink. And we were talking about it in the car on the way here. See, it's real simple when you get in the elementary stuff. Oh, did you hear so-and-so drank again? Meaning me. You know, Shannon drank again. And it's always, typically it's the same war cry, why we drink again, right? We stop going to meetings. We stop talking to our sponsor. We stop doing inventory. But really, and all that stuff's true. I don't want to rob anybody or negate anybody of those mechanical things. But really what truly happened is you fell asleep again. That's really what happened. I had 7.5 years, and I'll tell you a little bit of my story. I got sober up in Rochester, New York. That's where I'm originally from. If you hear an accent, that's where that's from. And I've been in, like I said, in on the base since the 80s. And, you know, for a long time I would come in, I'd get a few months sober. 8 months, I think, was like my hurrah moment at one time in my sobriety. But I got to a point where I had 7.5 years sober. I was sponsoring guys. I was starting big book studies. I started a home group that's still around today. Up in Rochester, it's about 400 people on a Friday night there. That's like a convention for Rochester. It's like unbelievably, it's just unheard of. The meeting's amazing. I had nothing to do with that, by the way. I'm not taking any credit for that, but I did start the meeting. I mean, I was the biggest big book cheerleader you would ever meet in your entire existence, and not knowing, looking back in hindsight, I was asleep in my own life quoting from our big book. I fell asleep sober, sponsoring guys. I made a boatload of amends. I mean, the tears would fall as I'm up here talking about the sunlight of the Spirit and God is everything or He is nothing. And I'll be totally honest with you, I was still being driven by this thing called self, and I didn't even know it. And eventually I drank again. And at 7.5 years sober, actually just a little bit earlier than I got a big job opportunity down in New York City. And that's a big deal for a guy that's from upstate New York who got his GED in jail. I mean, really, that's a big deal. I got a phone call, and the guy, you know, I'd been working for this company. I'd been sober at the time and gainfully employable, and the guy called me up and said, "Do you want to move to New York City?" And yes, absolutely goddamn right I do. You know, and I moved down there, no solution. You know, I'm sober, and you know, and just like Bill, I know a lot of us can relate to it. It's one of our favorite lines in Bill's story, and it's only 3 words. I had arrived. I had arrived. There's one of the egoic moments right there. Success, form, face. It was all thrown at me, and I'm living in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm living in this big, amazing city that I only heard about in like movies and books, and I'm like, I'm kind of a big deal. So I thought, but here's the thing. Here's what happened is you know, you can make all the amends in the world, and I'm not here knocking them. You know, I mean. I made some really powerful amends. I was part of an amazing home group. A lot of people up in upstate New York knew me. I was kind of going around, you know, running my big mouth, shouting from the rooftops this thing. And I don't regret anything what I'm saying right now. This isn't from a place of judgment that I didn't do anything wrong or bad. What I'm really here to shout is what our book says, that the spiritual life is not a theory. We have to live it. We have to live it. And what ended up happening is I made a bunch of amends, no 10 and 11. I went right from amends to 12. I was like 10 and 11, yeah, I get, pray once in a while, I hope I get that, blah. And, and it was non-existent. And I'll tell you this, I picked up again because I didn't practice steps 10 and 11. That's my share here today. I drank again because I fell victim to the delusion that this was my reality. And when you live up in the matrix of the mind for long enough, people in here that have been sober and have done some work in here and you picked up again, you know what I'm talking about in hindsight, hopefully if you've made it back, is if you live up here long enough, you will need relief. That's a fact. You will need medicine or you'll kill yourself. You'll be looking down the barrel of one and two things, either a barrel from a shotgun or a barrel from a bottle of Budweiser. That's what I'm up against here. And that's what ended up happening is weird things started to happen, and I started to get, my perception started to shift. We talk about, Chuck Chamberlain, a new pair of glasses, and we talk a lot about the positive shifts. I'm going to share hopefully both tonight as I'm up here from the podium. But what ended up happening is I started working the steps backwards unconsciously in my life. I wasn't 12-stepping. I'll tell you a story. This is an amazing story, and I've shared this with every man that I've ever sponsored. I was in a detox after I relapsed, after having years sober. And this guy came in, he was doing what we do, the H&I commitments, and he was sharing, and, after he got done, he said, does anybody want to share? And, you know me, I always got something to say, and ass hanging out of my gown, non-slipped, like, Jesus Christ, I'm the first guy. Quick story I got to share with you. It's funny about psych centers. We all got them, don't we? But Teddy asked me to speak a few months back here, just like everybody else here. And I loved what the gal shared earlier today is when he asked me, I said, oh my God, it'd be an honor. I looked at my calendar and I said yes, and I locked it in. And here comes the small self. Here comes the mind, the ego, the thing that everyone's been talking about, the thing that we watch in step 10 is I said, well, what step am I talking on? Because, I want to sound good. And he's like, I'm not sure. It's kind of like a random, which I found out later he was full of shit. It's not true at all. But I was thinking about it, and then he sent me the flyer, and this is the small self that you spoke about, and I loved it. Both of you did such a beautiful job, and maybe one or two people in here can relate to this. But I looked at the flyer, and I saw some of the names on the flyer, and the first thing I thought was, oh no, I'm going to have to bring my A game. What the hell does that even mean? No, but really think about it. That's the small self. It's not me. That's like saying, when I get to the psych center, I hope I have the nicest socks. Bringing my A game to a conference. Like, what does that even mean? And what it means is I want you to like me. I want to be accepted. I want you to laugh at everything that I say, even if it's not funny. I love it. And I've said this before, I want everybody in the room that when I'm all done, they all come up and say, I just fired my sponsor. I've been with him 39 years. And, what you said blew the back of my hair back. And I'd really like you to work with me, please. Now, I share that with you because it's not me. And I don't have to defend it. I'm not afraid to share that with you here today. I'm not afraid to say that when I get up here, there's still a little boy inside of me, a little voice inside of me that wants to be accepted, that wants to be loved. The problem is when that little boy runs my life, I drink again. That's the problem. When that little boy runs I was thinking about, Adrienne was talking about her kids, and I have an autistic daughter. She's on the spectrum. And there was a couple shares, and Terry and I have talked, and I remember when she was 4 years old, I got a call that she found scissors. I don't know if you know where the story's going, but she cut her own hair. I thought it was awesome. I really did. I thought it was awesome. My ex-wife, she sent me a text with some pictures, and Autumn had cut her hair all the way up past her bangs, and I thought it was amazing. I really did. I was like, that's my girl. You know what I mean? I didn't care. We took her to the hairstylist and got it all fixed the best we could. But I was thinking about and what ended up happening. I did ask my ex. I'm like, well, how did it happen? She goes, I left my eye off her for 5 seconds and it happened. That's kind of like my ego. If I let off on the gas and I stop watching my thought, it's it'll do a lot more damage than cutting my own hair, by the way. But But it just kind of made me think about that. Like, I have to watch this thing that's not me. And our third step, and we said it again today, and it's important, it says we're asking God, the creator of the universe, to relieve me of the bondage of what? Doesn't say me, does it? Doesn't say me. I think it's safe to say that Bill W. was probably one of the most prolific authors of the 20th century. If he meant me, he would have wrote it. And yet we'll get sponsors to go cross that out and write me. And if your sponsor's doing that, by the way, I'm really not. I'm not here to say that's wrong but I do want to read something here. Where the hell's my big book? Did I bring it? There it is. Can I read my big book? Is that okay? I just think it's kind of cool. And there often seems no way of entirely getting rid of what? Self without his aid. It doesn't say me. It says above everything we alcoholics must be rid of. It doesn't say my selfishness. See, because as soon as I put my on it, I claim it. That's exactly what the ego wants. The greatest trick that the ego plays on us is it convinces us that this is us. And I'm here to tell you it's not. Jimmy was up here today. I'm friends with his sponsor, Bob, from Minnesota, Bob B. And I was at a retreat years ago. I was a newcomer. And he was one of my heroes. And one of the things he said at this retreat, and I think it was in Nashville, is he said, one of the greatest gifts that I've been given is that I woke up in recovery and realized that I'm not my thoughts. And I thought, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. I really did. I'm like, how are you not your thought? Like, that doesn't even make sense. And it goes hand in hand with, so let's jump, and I'm going to jump around a little bit here, but it goes hand in hand. Let's look at page 86 when we start to practice this thing called a nightly review. What's it look like when I'm brand new and my sponsor and I got 3 months sober and my sponsor says, I want you to start doing a nightly review. And I'm like, yeah, how do you do it? He said, I want you to email it to me. That's how we did it when I was newer. And I said, sure, I can. And I would go home every night and I'd pull out my email, I'd pull out my phone 5 minutes before I was going to, go to sleep, and I'd go through the list. And this is what it sounds like when a newcomer does a 10-step or a nightly review. Sorry. Were we resentful? Nope. Were we selfish? Not at all. Nope. Dishonest? Nope. Or afraid? Nope. They had no afraid. Nope. Do we owe an apology? No. Hard no. Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? No. Were we kind and loving towards all? Yeah, I'm pretty. Yep. What could we have done better? Jesus Christ. Nothing. And I'm being honest, by the way. This is because I can't see the picture when I'm in the frame. I can't see it. Because I'm it. I'm still it. I'm the thing that I'm supposed to be watching, and it takes time. Bill's going to tell us over and over again, as time passes, eventually, this stuff takes time to break free from the conditioned mind. Let me tell you, it takes lifetimes. But if you're in the game and you're practicing this stuff, you're going to start to feel freedom. You're going to start to feel relief from this thing. And I'm going to say the same thing I heard that I thought was ridiculous when I was a newcomer. One of the greatest gifts I've been given in recovery is to realize I'm not my thoughts. I'm not. And it's hard. It's because, it talks to you in your own goddamn voice. Think about that. If it was like, I don't know, French or something, and it was like, oui, it'd be so easy to go, nice try there, ego. But it doesn't. Right? It doesn't. That's why it makes sense. We joke sometimes in our circles. You know when my golden years were? Around the ages between 4 and 6. Because that's when this thing took over. That's when the mind started to take over. And I've been, for years, I thought it was me. And it told me to do a whole bunch of stuff I really regret doing. And that's what the book says. It says we're driven by this. So let's keep going with this nightly review as a newcomer, because it is very comical. What could we have done better? I can't think of one thing. Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time? Nope. Or were we thinking of what we could do for? Absolutely, it's all I do. I'm always thinking about others. or of what we could pack into the stream of life. Absolutely, yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, I'm sober now. But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, for morbid reflection. No, that never happens there either. For that would diminish our usefulness to others. And here it comes. There's actually another part of the review at the bottom of the paragraph. It says, after making our review, here's a prayer. We ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. So I'd been doing this for a couple months, and I ran into my sponsor. Our home group was in Manhattan at the time, and I got off the subway and met him over there. And he said, it's nice you've been sending me your nightly review you haven't missed a night yet. And, I puffed out my chest. I said, you're goddamn right. You know what I mean? I'm a doer. I'm surrendered. And then he hit me with some truth. And he said, it's been like several weeks. You haven't had one resentful thought? Or one he said, I had 3 on the way over here from work. And you know what I thought? He's got to work a better program. I swear to God, all this I'm telling you, I didn't even know I was going to talk about. It's the truth. I thought bad for my sponsor. I'm like, maybe he needs to call his sponsor, because I just don't. Now we laugh at all that stuff, and probably most of us are laughing out of identification, right? I hope so. I hope that you've experienced the same type of experience that I've had here in this journey in steps 10 and 11. Because the truth is you could have hooked a lie detector test up to me after doing a nightly review for weeks on end and said, "You really believe all that BS that you're?" And I would have said yes, and that needle wouldn't have moved because I wasn't lying. I just can't see what I can't see because I'm still operating from it. I don't even know what it means to watch my thoughts because I still am my thoughts. But I'm sober now, and there's been a shift in perception, and things are starting to change, and things are starting to come to fruition in my life that haven't in the past. But I'm still this. And I'll be honest with you, at times you scare me enough today, and I'm going to talk a lot about this tonight, depending on what circumstances that life throws at me, I will fall right back into the matrix again, and I will suffer horribly. And I will tell you this, and I don't know where I'm in my talks. I really don't. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about tonight on 10 and 11. But I will tell you this, that because of 10 and 11, because I practice this to the best of my ability, and this is what I want to say. We are all in this room here tonight doing the best we can at the level of consciousness that we're able to operate from. I hear people talking about not shooting their wounded and then bitch at their sponsees for not doing something. Can we stop that, please? We're all doing the best we can. Now, I'm not saying, I sponsor a lot of guys. That doesn't mean that we get carte blanche to continue to burn our life to the ground and hurt God's kids in the process. That's not what I'm saying. But our book says, and it's one of the number one misquoted lines in our book, and you hear this a lot, and I'm not judging anybody. I'm really not, but you'll hear somebody say, well, the book says spiritual progress, progress, not perfection. And that's not what it says. The book that I got in front of me says spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. That means I'm going to fall short. I'm going to make mistakes. I haven't risen above the human condition. That's really what that statement means to me. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to fall short. I'm going to hurt people when I don't mean to. You know what I realize most of my pain today, what it really stems from? It's not always the thing that's going on in my life. It's the stories around the thing. Does that make sense? So, I didn't know I was going to talk about this, but here it comes. You know why? Because I got a card that came out of my book. It says, to a lovable daddy. And that's for my daughter. And I was talking to, I think, Darren. Is Darren here? He left too. All my friends left for my talk. Beautiful. I would too. Even Scott, he came up to me and goes, I didn't even know he was here. My buddy Scott came from Flemington, and he's like, hey, I just want to let you know I'm not going to be here for your talk. I got to go. And I'm like, why'd you even say hi? Anyway, I've had the opportunity to be at a few of these places over the past couple of years, and it seems like every time I get a microphone put in front of me, I cry. And I was talking to my friend Darren about it earlier today. I think I'm still in mourning. I really do. I think I'm mourning the loss of my daughter. And when I say the loss of my daughter, let me encapsulate some of that statement. I've been going through, See, here we go. You want me to practice steps 10 and 11 right here in the fourth dimension? The mind just said, I'm going through this. That's the self-centeredness that our book's talking about. It's happening to me. It's happening to me. When the truth is maybe it's just happening. But as soon as the ego claims it, that's where the pain comes. I'm going through this. I'll tell you what, it got to a point, I had to talk to my sponsor about it, and this was the first time that I brought it up in a while, so it's okay if he hears this talk. It started to become my identity. It did. It started to become my identity, the things that I'm going through with my daughter. And I'm going to share it at a very surface level so that maybe that somebody that's got something going on in here in your life today, it's not for me, right? I'm telling you, it's not. If there's someone in this room here tonight that's got something going on, whether it's a health scare, whether it's a money scare, a legal, whatever it may be, life is going to show up. We can sit here and talk about fourth dimensional principles until the cows come home, but when life knocks on your door, are you ready? Are you spiritually ready? Are you in the game? Are you awake enough to be able to walk through that with dignity, grace, and not drink or put a gun to your head? And more importantly, how can, if I'm in the game and I'm watching these constructs and these narratives and I'm learning from them and I'm continuing to seek to the best of my ability to build a relationship with the God of my misunderstanding, can God be able to match serenity with calamity so that I can use my talk today to help you? There's somebody in this room right now that's got something going on. I know it. How do I know? Because you're human. And as I said that, you thought about it and you felt it, and there was an energy shift in you. And I'm here to tell you that a couple years ago, out of nowhere, because life will hijack you sometimes, out of nowhere, literally, I woke up. It wasn't a cloud on the horizon, right? I just celebrated, I think, my 8th birthday just prior to that, and I went over to my computer, and I did my morning meditation, went on Facebook and judged everybody, and then had my cup of coffee, and I didn't judge everybody, just half the people. But and I opened up an email from the state of New Jersey. From the Superior Family Courts, and I had a 40-some page document, and there wasn't one single word on there that was truthful, with the most horrific allegations that a father could have against him with his 5-year-old little girl. I didn't see it coming. I didn't wake up that morning and go, hey God, you know what you could do for me today? Could you manifest but that's exactly what happened. And I was terrified. I was terrified. I called my sponsor. I called Nicoletta. And I didn't know what to do. I literally it was like I collapsed. I collapsed on the floor and I said, what the fuck, what's going on here? I was lost. I didn't. Anybody ever have something scary like that happen? I don't mean that necessarily that, but anybody ever get scared in life? Anybody ever get a cancer call or a this or a child or a legal or we got the stuff that happens to us. And it was wild. It was almost like my feet were just so trained. I called my sponsor. And then I called Nicoletta. And I said, you're not going to believe what's going on. And it went on for a year. Lots of money, lots of sleepless nights. I didn't know what the hell was going to happen. We went through this together. There's men in this room that I sponsor that would call me up and say, can we do some book work? And the mind would say, no, I need to think right now, and thank God, again, that I'm a seeker, and yes, let's go. And then at least for that 1 hour, I would get that, what was called earlier, a divine distraction. And they or one of my, I call him Eeyore, one of my sponsees, because he's always got something going on. And I mean, God damn, and thank God for him. Thank God for the people that are so self-centered. I mean, I'm not even trying to be funny. Like seriously, like I'm going, he'd call me up and I'd give him like, I'm like, you're not going to believe what's going on. Like, and I would tell him the story and he'd go, so anyway, I met this girl and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Oh my God. And thank God. Really, right? Because for him, it's like he can't even, and that's what I need. In that moment, that's exactly what I needed. I need him to be so self-consumed that he doesn't even know I exist. Right? And, oh my God. Anybody got guys like that and girls like that? They're perfect. And I'm not saying that to be, we need them because it's serious, because he would just, and then I'd help him navigate through whatever his self-imposed crisis was that he was going through. And in that brief moment, the only place where God resides is right here, right now. In that moment, everything was okay. And that's what he created for me. And then I would get off the phone with it, and I'm like, oh my God, thank God he called. And immediately the mind would pull me right back out of the moment. So what are we going to do about this court case? And I'm like, I don't know. What do you think we should, I'm asking that thing for advice. The ego is such a powerful enigma. It'll light your house on fire and then come in the house, masquerade as the fireman going, what are we going to do here? And you're like, I don't know. What do you think we should? We should pour more gas on it. I'm like, okay. And what's it saying? The book clearly tells us that our problems become astonishingly difficult to solve because I'm going to the source that created the problems and they're not even real. And eventually I need relief from that. So I went through this court case and it was awful. This is what I want to share. And I think this is really the delicate dance of the spiritual path is where, and I can't remember if it was, Jimmy may have talked about it. Somebody talked about the pendulum. I talk about that a lot. I remember being new. I had maybe a couple months sober, and I was walking down Lower East Side with my sponsor. We were going to Bellevue to bring a commitment in there, psych center. And I was new, and I remember I was just thinking, he's like, how are you doing? And I was doing amazing. I had a couple months sober, and I really was. I felt like for the first time like a human. I was going to a commitment with my sponsor, and this guy he was my hero at the time. And I said, Adrian, I'm just doing amazing. Like I'm rattling off all these amazing things that are going on in my life. And he goes, this too shall pass. And I'm like, Jesus, like, thanks, but he didn't leave me hanging there. He said, Shannon, I didn't say that stuff to rain on your parade. He goes, when I hear things like this from a guy like you who I met a couple months back who was dying from untreated alcoholism, it's amazing. It's a really big deal. I rarely get to have these conversations with guys like you because most of you guys like you die. But the reason why I said that to you, because we got to honor both sides of the pendulum when it swings. And that's really what he's taught me. Life's going to show up. And some days it's just bliss, isn't it, right? And it's just like this weekend, just being here and just being with people I love. And, it's heady, and hearing these people talk up here and share their experience from this thing called the human condition, sprinkled with this deadly progressive fatal illness called alcoholism. I get to be here and I get to be a part of this weekend. This moment right here will never return. And that already left. It's moment to moment to moment to moment. That's what we're trying to do here, is live right here, right now. A place I never knew existed. I never knew. I'm not kidding. No, I know. She's like, I know. I would hear people talking like, the people would be like, are you here, right now? And I'm thinking, well, I'm here. Yeah, I'm in the meeting. Can't the guy see me? But I'm not here. I'm not. My physical body's here, but I'm in, back when I'm in here, I'm everywhere but here. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. That's why it's important. One of the things in our practice is Bill says upon awakening. Upon awakening. I don't know if, when I first wake up in the morning, I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't crack open my eyes and go, today. Oh. I'm like, what's going on with this court case? Oh, I forgot I got that thing. And then, oh, crap, did I answer that email yesterday at work? And, oh, I got book work today with what's his name? And I got to make coffee for Nicoletta. And then I hope that this, and I haven't even peed yet. I haven't even peed yet. This thing's already on me. Mark Houston was brought up this week, and I love Mark talks about the vulture. Everybody hear Mark talk about that? He taught, and it's so true, and I kind of use a different story. But my mind is up, it's awake before I am. It's already had 2 cups of coffee and a Red Bull. It's like, oh, God damn, bro, what the hell? I've been waiting for you to wait. We got some thinking to do. You know? None of it's never good, right? That's why I think, and you'll hear different schools of thought. People will say, upon awakening means, I do it as soon as I crack open my, good for you. I piss, but you know what, I'll go to the bath and I'll make coffee, but, we do a morning practice, Nicolette and I, all the time. And we actually live in one of those railroad apartments that Jimmy was talking about, people that have been here in Summit. And it's great. She's way down on her end of the thing doing her, and I do, my breath work and, and I get quiet. And I ask God to remove this narrative. And I ask God, bring me here in the moment. And I love what the book says. The book says, on awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Jimmy said something when he was up here, and I agree with him, but I do think about work. I do think about what I have planned for the day. Sometimes I'll actually pull out my calendar and look at it. You know why? Because I don't want to be startled. The book actually says, watch for that. You ever, forget something? And God damn it! We don't act normal. I make a really big deal out of it. Jesus Christ! And it's whatever, I forgot to get milk or something. But our mind will just turn it into this really big, in the book, and built up. Watch for that stuff. Watch for it. So, he says, we consider our plans for the day before we begin. We ask God to direct our thinking. That's one of I do it almost every morning. I don't know if I've missed a morning or not, but I really try to make it a piece of spiritual business, because I know that if I don't ask God to watch my thinking, I'm in big trouble. And if you love me, you probably are too, because I'm going to hurt you. I don't mean to. But when I get in that fight or flight mode, that pain or pleasure mode, I'll hurt you unconsciously. If you inconvenience me, what the hell's so funny over there? Just kidding. I'll hurt you, and I won't even mean it. Sometimes, I'll be honest with you. I have a partner. A lot of you know Nicoletta, and there's times where when I'm in my head and I'm scared and I'm thinking about my daughter in this court case, and she comes home from work and wants me to tell me about her day at the psych center she works at. Recovery center she works at. I can't hear her. And I'm not trying to be, I can't. I'm too self-consumed. I can't hear her. It's not that I don't want to hear her. It's not that I don't love her. It's just, I got to think. I got to ponder. I got to figure stuff out, and when I do that, I'm not present. And I really think that that's really one of the greatest grabs of the ego, is it just wants to pull me out of the moment. It just wants to pull me out of right here, right now. And as soon as I get pulled out of the moment, I've left reality. And if I'm operating from a non-reality place, I'm in trouble. That's why this stuff is so important. It's so important. So to go on, it says, under these conditions, we asked God to direct our thing, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance, for after all, God gave us brains to use. When you're new, everyone's telling you when you're new, don't listen to your brain. bad. Don't go up there. You hear little things like it's a bad neighborhood. Don't go up there alone. You hear jokes like, oh, I called my sponsor and told him I was thinking, ha, 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 and rightly so. We hear Native American tales of good wolf and bad wolf, which one you feel. And I think that is designed perfectly. If you're brand new, and like I was for many years, and I would tell my sponsor, hey, I've been thinking, he would say, grab the broom, or go do this, or go do service, get plugged. Absolutely, 100%, because it's a bad neighborhood. But eventually, imagine if you had to live like that at 25 years sober. I don't want it. I think one of the greatest promises that we don't talk about in our book, it says that our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane. Wait, you mean I can actually rely on my mind to not kill me? Yes. You can be inspired. You can be okay. You can be okay when things aren't okay. You can. I'm in my second court case, by the way. It's back. The same allegations. Again, we came out of it. We came out of it. We won. Unfounded. He didn't do anything. Leave this man alone. My daughter got to see me, and we got to spend a few months together. And literally out of nowhere, I got another phone call from the division, and they. And the irony right now is I'm hearing the tears are shedding and I'm feeling this pain in the morning and what I'm going through. You know what's ironic? I'm okay. I really am. I'm okay. It hurts. And that's what I was talking about earlier. I think that's the divine dance here. Is not to spiritually bypass my pain, because I can get caught up in that too, right? I'll just find 3 more guys to help work with. That way I don't have to deal with that crap over there. Right? The ego's so crafty, it'll use spiritual principles to keep me sick and blocked off too. Find 8 more guys to work with. Right? Because then I don't have to walk through this. I can just spiritually bypass it. Or it'll take me another direction and just take me down morbid reflection and self-pity. Then I'll run into you on the street and you'll be like, how you doing? Did you hear about my court case? And it ends up becoming my identity, you know what I mean? And it did. It started to become, and I just started to get weird with it. And it was, but I continued to seek. That's the point of my story here. I was still in the game. I continued to talk to my sponsor about this. I continued to bring it to God. And what ended up happening is it's like Mary Beth said, life is lived forward and learned backward. It's the AA rear view mirror. Is what ended up happening is by staying in the game and practicing this way of life, I was able to stand in my power. I was able to face this stuff successfully. And it's not easy. It's scary and it's hard. I don't want to be accused of, what the hell's wrong? I'm standing in a courtroom going, it was like I was in a bad dream. Like, how can this be happening? Because I'm a human being, that's why. Because it does happen to us. We've all got stuff, right, Ricky? We've all got stuff we've gone through, right? That's all I'm saying here. With this practice and with waking up spiritually, I'm here to tell you that I've gone through some stuff, and if you're going through some stuff, talk to me. Talk to me. I can help you. You can get through it, whatever it may be. I can face life successfully today. That's a wild deal for me. I just got a 26-page documents, what was it? Not even a week ago. And I didn't want to read them. I didn't want to face it. I'm a runner. Right? I'm a runner. Things don't work right. I just pack later. That was my mantra. I'm gone. Peace. You can't do that anymore, Shannon. But I also can't do it alone. I need God. And I need you. I need you. You guys have walked me home. There's so many people in this room I know and I love. And I've been in and out of AA for years, and I would walk into a convention or a conference hall or somewhere, a place like this, and I would know 80% of the people in the room, yet I knew none of them. You know me by name. Oh, there's Shannon. But did you really know me? I was a lone wolf in AA. I don't want, it's lonely for one, but I don't. There's people in this room I have rich relationships with that I love. This deal is about waking up. It really is. It's about waking up. Wake up. Wake up. We can help you wake up. And a lot of it's right here in 10 and 11. This keeps me in the game. It keeps me in the game. I didn't want to face that. Here's the difference between self-centered and God-centered. And it happened, and thank God I didn't sit in it. I got this 26-page document the other day, and it was basically the division calling me this and everything I'm not. And I just want to see my fucking daughter. And I'm confused. And I didn't want to read it. I literally said out loud, I'd rather die than read this, than open up this piece of paper right now. I'd rather die. There's self-centered. That's what self-centered looks and sounds like right there. I would rather die. And I paused. Huh. It's not even funny. You guys are an easy crowd. I'm like, then I felt like killing myself. And then I paused and I did exactly what the book says and exactly what teachers have told me. In fact, it was an inner voice. And I said, God, you gave me this cup to drink from, and I don't want to drink from it. I'm too scared. I need your help. Can you help me? And I don't want to look at these papers. There's a bunch of stuff in there that's not true, and that's not who I am. And the voice came back and it said, I know, that's why we're going to walk through this together, because it's not true. And I sat down like a mad scientist and I responded back to all that stuff and shing, and well, it wasn't a typewriter, we don't have this, but you know what I mean. It was you know what I mean. In my head it was a typewriter, but it was a computer. But I went through and I responded to all these allegations, and I sent them over to my attorney that we can't afford. And it's just wow. This is what happens in the world of the spirit. Like, we've got this attorney that we can't afford. We can't, but yet we can. God's providing. We got an attorney that's like, she's actually a dear friend of ours in the fellowship, and sober. She goes, I won't work with friends. Forget it. No. That's my cardinal sin. I will not. And we're like, come on, we need you. And she's, no. Now she's our lawyer. It wasn't because of us. It was because of God. And then we're like, and she goes, I got, basically in so many words, she goes, I got good news and bad news. Good news is she knows my daughter. Her kids are friends with my daughter. And she's like, I'm going to help you. I'm going to walk you through this. We're going to fight this. That's the good news. I go, well, what's the bad news? She goes, I need 20 grand. My boss does as a retainer fee. Let me tell you something. 20 grand to me is like a million. And I'm like, what are we going to do? And you know what I did that night? I spoke at a meeting. I did book work with a guy. I did what you taught me. I don't know what the hell we're going to do. Where are we going to get this money from? We had the money the next afternoon. A guy called me up. I got you. What? Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, and I'm going to, I'll pay you. I know. He goes, I don't care about that right now. Go get your daughter. Go get your daughter. And we got the money. So do steps 10 and 11, you'll get some cash. No, I'm just kidding. Some new guy's like. Here we ask God for inspiration. I need your help. Help me. I'm scared, God. I can't do this alone. Help me. An intuitive thought or a decision. We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. We are often surprised how the right answers come after we have tried for a while. What used to be the hunch or the occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. What? You mean I'm not going to suffer for the rest of my life in sobriety? Just white knuckle it and have to listen to a voice that's constantly trying to kill me? Nope. I love this right here. It is not probable that we are going to be inspired at all times. We might pay for this presumption in all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Right? I know a lot of people in this room, we sponsor people, right? And they start practicing this stuff and it doesn't work for, after 3 days. And they're like, screw this. I'm like, why'd you stop? It's not working. I'm like, well, it's the old adage, AA works. Good news and bad news. Good news is AA works. Bad news is it just doesn't work as fast as 3 shots of tequila. This stuff takes time. It takes time. It takes time. I've been sober, and I'm a newcomer. I really am. Like I said, I just had an AA birthday. I had 14 years, and I'm so new. And when I say I'm a newcomer, I don't mean like I'm a newcomer with sobriety and recovery, but it's this deal here. It's really practicing God. My agnosticism is thick still. A friend of mine, Chad, who spoke out here a couple times, him and I are going through the steps. This thing that Mark Houston did. It's deep. It's like deep stuff. And him and I did some work about a month ago in the apartment, right? And we both looked at each other. We only did steps 1 and 2, and we both looked at each other and we went, "We're some agnostic mother effort." Like, wow, I have so much agnosticism in me. You look at any area of my life that's a challenge because I don't trust God in it. Facts. I don't trust God. I don't. And I'm not at that place where, I immediately turn to God. Like I said, it depends on the circumstances. It depends on the third dimensional thing that's coming at me. And then I'll call my sponsor crying and going, my ex-wife, and she this and she that, and they're going to take my child away from me. And I didn't do, what the hell? Here's a good sponsor. You know what a good sponsor does? A good sponsor will cry with you. Or a good sponsor will create an atmosphere where it's okay to cry, it's okay to be human. And that's what he'll do. But then he'll go, "We good? You got any more left in you? More tears?" "No, I'm good, Don. I'm okay." I said, "What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it?" "I don't know. What are we going to do about it?" "Did they take your daughter away from you?" "Well, no." "Is she gone forever?" One of the ego's favorite words, right? Forever. Never. Always. If you hear those words, that ain't you. It's not intuitive. Trust me, it's not. She's never gonna, or he's always gonna, it's that is not not the earmarks of the spirit. That's definitely the ego. And here, I'll give you, if anything I share here tonight, especially if you're new, you know what the favorite words of the ego are? 2 words are? And it makes you leave reality? What if? What if? As soon as you get scared as soon as you say it, right? What if? What if what? And it's just, but right here, right now, right here, in this moment, everything's perfect. Right here, right now, right here. Hear that silence? Hear the fan? Now, did anybody in that moment, in that brief second, have a worry? That's God. Everything is perfect. It's divine. Even my court case, me. It's not my court case. Here's a tough one. I spoke at this thing, and a guy came up to me. He goes, and he was saying it from a really good intention. He said, it's not your daughter, right? I wanted to, I'm like, and I understood what he meant. His heart was in the right, he's like, it's God's daughter, and I'm like, yeah, you probably say one day at a time too, don't you? There, no, but Right. His heart was in the right place, you know. But maybe she's not my ex-wife. Maybe she's God's kid. Because she is. And maybe she's operating from the best place that she knows how to operate from. Maybe she's not doing this to me. In meditation a couple months back, that's exactly what happened. I was crying to God, and I said, God, why are you doing this to me? What? No, I didn't. That's a lie. I said, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And another voice came and said, maybe it's not happening to you. Maybe it's just happening. Maybe right now, whatever you got going on your path, it's just happening. It's not happening to you. There's a big difference between the two. Because when it's happening to me, then I'm looking at it through the myopic lens of the ego. That's the self-centeredness that the book's talking about. The self-centeredness isn't, this is mine, I'm keeping it, you can't have. That's not what it's talking about. Everything that happens is happening to me. And when you live in a world where everything is happening to you, you will drink again. Or you will do X, fill in the blank. You'll have that extramarital affair. You'll cheat. You'll lie. You'll go to the massage parlor. We all know. We're all in this room. Everything I've sponsored enough men. I've heard it all. And not one of them meant to do any of whatever it is that they did. But they had to because they needed relief from the self. They needed relief from the mind. And I'll tell you the greatest relief, freedom, that I've been given from self and from the mind is by seeking. I'm a seeker. I'm teaching breath work now. I remember Nicoletta got me into it. She's like, you should try breath. I'm good. I got my big book over here. I don't need no. I'm such a Herbert Spencer. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good. You know. Yeah. But then that's been a practice of mine too. When somebody suggests something and I bristle with antagonism, I'm like, what's that about? Little ego's a little terrified. It might get exposed in this little practice here. Huh? And now I'm in love with breath work. I had no idea the breath is the doorway to the divine. I'm actually practicing it now, and I'm teaching others. And it's just another beautiful modality on the tree of life, and I love it. It's amazing. So now I do breath work in the morning. Almost every morning I do breath work. And I get a deeper connection with God. And when I get a deeper connection with God, guess what happens? I get a deeper connection with you. And when I get a deeper connection with you, life's not so scary. And I can operate. I can see clearly. I get intuitive thoughts. I operate from an entirely different viewing platform. When I got here in Alcoholics Anonymous, I lived off one sheet of music. This is how you live. And an inventory process and a lot of pain and suffering confront you with that and says, how's that working out? Not so well. And what you guys have done here, I'm going to wrap my talk up, but what you guys have done here is Alcoholics Anonymous, especially with 10 and 11, what you've really done is you've created a new sheet of music for me to live from. So that when a thought comes or life comes or something comes, what I perceive to be at me, I can pause. I can turn. I can pray. I can reach out. The phone rings. This happens. It's just, wow. This is the fourth dimension. Right here, right now. And right here, right now, in this very sacred moment, God is. God is. Look at all the beautiful authors that a lot of us, Eckhart Tolle, what's the name of his book? The Power of Next Thursday? Ram Dass, be here tomorrow. Oh, no, it doesn't say that. Be here now. Now is all we have. That's all we have. And if you're new, trust me, because I heard an idiot like me saying this stuff, and I'm like, what is he talking about? But people who have experienced this moment know what I'm talking about. It's sacred. It's precious. It's where God is. He's in the now. He's in the moment. It's real. And right here in this moment, there's no when I'm doing my breath work and there's no court case, I go into it's a theta state. You go into this stage. You go into this place. And by the way, the place it's within. It's not out there. It's not in a building. It's within. This breath work that I do, the meditations that I do, the practices that I do, I go within. I feel safe in here. What a miracle. I feel safe in my own sanctity, in my own temple. I didn't know that was possible. I needed relief from this, and now it's my refuge. And when I go to that place that some of us know that I'm talking about, none of that stuff that stresses me out or makes me angst or gets me, none of it exists. It's gone. It's gone. It's just me and the divine. And then I get dressed and go to work, and all that's forgotten 20 minutes later. Thank you.